It was good, everybody. I wanted to make a quick video responding to Andrew Tate, specifically about his conversion to Islam. One of the reasons he gave was because the God of Islam was one who's respected, as opposed to the God of the Christians, who was often mocked and disrespected without any retribution. You know what I'm saying? So his line of argumentation is that I can't rock with a God who's disrespected. Hence, he left the God of the Christians and became a follower of Allah, so to speak. So the thing about that is he went on PBD's podcast. PBD gave him a little bit of pushback and talked about the grace of God. And here's what I wanted to dive into. The grace of God is something that is pretty insanely wild to grasp. You know, just think about, I'm going to be talking about two things today. Both the grace and the severity of God. And the grace of God is so incredible when you think that from what we would consider to be small time things like stealing a candy bar, punching someone in the face, insulting someone, getting in a fight, to things that are really, really evil, like raping children, killing children, doing all these types of wicked stuff that God hates, that he would give all of us a chance to repent and to know him through the Messiah, through the Son that he sent. That doesn't mean that these things are any less evil, but there was a chance to repent and a chance to change your ways in the Messiah, right? The opportunity itself is given to everybody. At the same time, we know how severe God is and why this grace is so important, because God's judgment on sin is so severe. It was Sodom and Gomorrah. They were really wicked, and in the Bible itself, they wanted to screw the male angels. Think about how insane that is, how deprived these individuals were. But this is what was on their freaky minds. And as a result, God sent fire and so forth from God out of heaven and completely destroyed their city. Completely destroyed their city and the surrounding cities. And here's what's interesting. If you look outside of the Bible, that this city was destroyed in like a fiery catastrophe. There's like melted crystals, which burn at 2,200 degrees Celsius. There's a huge amount of ash in the layers. All this stuff that shows these cities really did meet a spontaneous, fiery end. So you have the testimony of the Hebrews in the Bible, and then outside the Bible, you literally have this act of God that shows how, like, scientifically these cities were destroyed. So from both realms, we can look back and see that this city did face God's judgment because all of the evil and all of the wickedness that they did. So let's bring this into it, because there's a Bible verse that actually talks about both these things at once. Romans 11:22. Note then the kindness and the severity of God. Severity towards those who have fallen, but God's kindness to you, provided that you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you too will be cut off. So this is what I want to stress, is that God is insanely graceful, both for the believer and for the non-believers. But don't mistake God's grace for weakness, and don't mistake the grace that Christians give to others for weakness. Because grace does not mean weakness, and grace can exist perfectly with severity. So we understand everyone wants to talk about the grace. Don't forget the severity of God, because we can see all throughout history things that are both in the Bible and outside of the Bible. We can see all these times when God poured his judgment out on nations. We are all these wicked, evil men who were sticking their middle finger up at God. God is not a fool. God is not a fool. He will not be mocked. He will not be. He's so holy and perfect. I'm going to warn you, don't mistake his grace for weakness. Look at what happened to the Sodomites. So I just wanted to let you know the whole reason why grace is important is because of how intense God is on sin, and how Sodom and Gomorrah is an example for how God feels about sin and how God's going to judge sin. I think the Apostle Peter, the Apostle Jude even says this in the New Testament. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. God is perfect. And not only is he righteous and merciful, but is also the perfect judge. Y'all be blessed in the Messiah. I'll catch you in the next one.